When I was younger, I was excited by change. I looked forward to it, I was happy when it happened. As I'm growing older, I try to avoid it as much as possible and not able to cope when it happens.
It all depends who is initiating the change.
If this sounds like you, please watch this video. You know that it's time for something to move in your life. You feel stuck. Every single time you think about change, it makes you anxious. It makes you feel like you're taking yourself out of your familiar grounds to an unfamiliar ground. In the words of Sadhguru, resisting change is like resisting life. Being human is a fact, but life is a task. Struggling with change is due to very many psychological, emotional, and practical reasons. Patch away from a familiar environment creates a situation whereby it makes someone feel anxious, therefore they resist to change. But with life comes change. With life comes movement. Without movement, you end up feeling stuck. This video is going to be talking about why you struggle with change. One of the primary reasons as to why you probably struggle with change is because it brings about a disruption in your routine and in your comfort zones. Human beings, we are creatures of habit, and routines provide a sense of stability and predictability in our daily life. However, when these routines are altered, it can lead to a feeling of unease and anxiety. The comfort derived from familiarity, the exchange of unfamiliar ground, which requires adaptation, really scares some of us. Well, you're going to ask yourself, what is the fear of change? The fear of change has been put down to a particular disorder which is called metatheophobia. This is a type of anxiety disorder that has been categorized with a fear of adjustment in your life. It can be manifested differently and it can be triggered differently. So sometimes when you have the fear of change, it could be that sort of disorder. So it's worth having a look at it. The fear of the unknown is also another reason as to why you fear change in your life. Our human minds are wired to detect any potential threats in our life, and change in your life could be a potential threat. Anything that comes with change creates a sense of unpredictability. This triggers the brain's flight or fight response within you, which leads to heightened stress levels, the fact that a new change is coming, unpredictability is happening, which can be daunting because the change is unclear, it's unpredictable, it's uncertain, which altogether makes you feel like, I do not want to change. Changing something means changing an identity sometimes. Changing something in life sometimes requires a change in self-identity. We as individuals, as people, we develop a sense of self based on our environment, based on our experiences and our roles. And when change alters those roles in our lives, it can lead you to question your identity as a whole. For example, a career change can challenge someone's self-concept. As they adapt to a new professional environment, also makes you adjust your self-perception of who you are and who you have become as an individual. Normally, any change that you make in life, sometimes it hits on your self-identity. Sometimes your identity needs to be changed. Your identity needs to be reprogrammed. And the thought of you changing your identity, the thought of you improving your identity creates that fear of change. But the psychological discomfort associated with change can be exaggerated by the emotional toll it takes on your mind. Because as individuals, we get so attached to our environments. We get so attached to the things that we do on a very daily basis. We get so attached to our relationships. We get so attached to our situations. For example, moving to a new city may mean leaving behind your close friends and support networks. This sense of loss and detachment could trigger some sort of fear within yourself, and that makes you feel like, I cannot deal with this type of change. Coping with these emotions alongside the practical aspects of change can be very overwhelming to you or to anybody else. Because if you think about it as well, change also often requires new skills, new knowledge, or ways of thinking, learning, and adapting, and it can be very mentally draining and daunting, especially when you're very used to the things that you do on a daily basis. Let me give you an example. Normally, we ask our parents to change. We want our parents to change, but it gets to a point in their lives whereby the thought of change makes them think that it's a new form of learning. Some people, learning is not their strongest point. Some people, learning something new, it makes them feel like they have to be boxed into an environment of, constant beating and constant learning. And because of that, they resist any change that requires them to learn new skills, new knowledge, or anything that would require them to take up that new change. change. Fear of failure and incompetence can discourage you from actually embracing change, as sometimes you worry so much about the ability to meet the standards of that new change, of that new role, of that new situation, of that new relationship, of that new environment. But you cannot neglect social factors which can also make you have that fear of change. Peer pressure, society norms, fear of judgment can also make you resist change, because sometimes you struggle with breaking away from those social expectations or the social life in which that you live in, the social environment that expects you to be a certain way and do things a certain way, and that's how it has been done from generation on to now this generation, and you have to carry on that candle to the next generation. Because of that social circle, it makes you fear change, or it makes you not want to change, because you're breaking away, you're betraying, and you are letting them down if you carry on, if you decide to change or break away from that kind of situation. That is why you find that so many people are stuck in social circles that they are not happy about, but because of the fear of being, discontinued or being disregarded or being, thrown out of those circles, of those communities, they end up just staying in an environment whereby they don't change, but they do the right things according to what the social circle requires of you or of them. Because this pressure to be comfortable to social norms can be very, very powerful when the change you want in life is challenging the strong traditions and beliefs that have been there before you were born, before your parents were born, before your grandparents were born, and your great-grandparents were born. So challenging those traditional norms and those traditional beliefs makes you stay in a situation whereby you can't, and asking yourself the question, why I cannot change, it's sometimes associated with the social life in which you have been brought up, in which you're accustomed to. However, it's important to remember that while the struggle to change is real, we as human beings, we also possess a really great power of adaptability and resilience. Overcoming the challenges of change can inwardly lead to personal growth, self-growth, and a better mindset. It can also lead to self-awareness and development of new skills, new knowledge, support systems such as new friends, new family, professional skills, a new way of living. Additionally, reframing change as an opportunity for growth and learning can shift your mindset, can shift your perspective, making the journey very less daunting. Remember this, not wanting to change is like choosing death, because only in death, that's where change does not happen. If you want to live a life of fulfillment, change is something that has to happen. Change is something that you have to try and overcome in your life. Here are some of the tips that I can share with you that can help you to be comfortable with change. The first one is mindset shift. Embrace change as an opportunity for growth, but not a threat. You need to view change as a chance for you to learn a new skill, as a chance for you to grow, rather than a chance for you to fail. You need to introduce change in your life at a gradual process. A massive change is not something that is really going to help your anxiety. It's not something that is really going to help you as an individual, but gradual exposure, which is you start with small adjustments to build your resistance and your adaptability for tackling larger transactions. You have to try as much as you can to introduce change in smaller doses rather than in bigger doses, because if you introduce it in smaller doses, the change does not feel like a change. It just feels like a smooth transition. Self-compassion. Be kind to yourself in times of change. Be kind to yourself when change is going to happen. Being harsh and looking down at yourself and being so mad at yourself and questioning why I can't change, why I'm stuck, will just make you feel much more angrier and will make you even resist change more and more. You have to positively visualize your change. Visualizing positive outcomes is going to help you to try and be comfortable with the change in your life. If you visualize failure, you visualize, letting go, you visualize detachment, it's going to make you more anxious. It's going to make you resist more change and stay in that same situation, because you would have a more of an optimistic look. You have more of like a positive outlook on life rather than a negative outlook to change. Because when you look at change is like a ball of fear. Change is the uncertainty, unpredictability, new adaptability that creates people to say, I don't think I'm ready for that. But if you embrace it in a very positive way and visualize the positivity out of the change that you want to achieve, then it works out so much better for you. Stay present. When it comes to change, it's because of the habits and the routines that we have created. So focus more on the present moment than dwelling on the past routines and the past habits that you have got, or the future uncertainties. Don't worry about the past of the people that you've had, the past of the job that you've had, or the past things that you have done, and don't think about the future uncertainties. Just think about the present moment and the changes that you to make in this present time. Flexibility. Cultivate flexibility in your mind, your thinking, and actions. You need to embrace the idea that plans may change and be prepared to adapt. Life is not a flat surface. Life is full of ups and downs, and that creates change. If you're not ready for change, you're not ready for life. You're not ready to live. Focus on what you can control. Focus on aspects of change that you can control, rather than fixating yourself on the influence of things, elements beyond your influence, on elements that you cannot control. If you can control that change in a way that you can, then that's okay. But if you cannot control that, you're better off away. You have to remember this. The struggle to change is deep rooted in our human psychology. The disruption of routines, fear of unknown, shifts in self-identity, emotional trauma, and the need for learning and adaptability all contribute to the challenges posed by change. However, with time, with effort, develop the resilience and the skill needed to not only cope with change, but to thrive in the unfamiliar circumstances. Don't look at change as something that has come to take away your joy, but look at change as something that has come to bring a new life to you. Change is new life. Change is a new thing to look forward to. Anyway, I hope this video has given you a bit of insight when it comes to change. Please do leave a lovely comment. Do not forget to subscribe. Leave in the description what you've learned. And I can't wait to hear from you. Bye-bye.